The Oak Island team steps back so that the Dumas Contracting Company team can start drilling in this episode. The business is ready to start the job and has everything it needs. Is it possible that new things will be found? How did the team get past problems to reach their goal? The most important question is, where is the wealth that was buried? Stay tuned as we keep looking for the treasure that has been hidden for a long time. Early in the morning, the drilling company starts by planning how to dig the yard shaft all the way down. For about 6 hours, the flooded water has to be drained out of the garden shaft. Then, debris and artifacts have to be pulled out, wood sets have to be added, and the tube underground has to be made clear enough to be explored. The first step in the process seems to be putting together a very strong and useful tool called the hammer grab, which weighs more than 3 tons and is used for digging. After the dig, the team plans to build new 8-foot-tall wooden levels to try to link to the confirmed but still unexplored tunnel. Different artifacts found by the Oak Island team during their past drilling have proven that the tunnel is there. Some of the water that was pumped out has been seen and studied so far and found to contain gold and other things. But there is one thing that stands out from what they saw. The water that was covered in gold didn't seem to come from the garden shaft. Instead, it seemed to come from the baby blob, which is west of the garden shaft. It was found that the baby blob had the most metal and other artifacts compared to other parts of the money pit, through past study and excavation efforts. The team has a lot of hopes for both during and after the addition of the shaft area. A lot of people are positive, excited about the discoveries that will be made, and interested in where they came from. The team was able to figure out the right way for their excavation work by looking at maps and past observations of the land. The garden shaft was the best place to begin the addition at any height and on a flat surface. With this going on, an area of up to 80 feet can be dug up, explored, and watched. This is a large underground area that should yield many artifacts during the process. One thing is certain about this whole operation: good things will happen, even though the team will face some problems along the way. Another good thing is that some problems are easy to solve with the help of the team's partners at Dumas Contracting Limited. The drilling company is helpful when there is no way to get to places with a lot of metal materials. They can also help with additions if needed. If we're lucky, no prize will be forgotten and the chances of finding the lost treasure are higher than ever. The Dumas team starts the job on a good note, ready to find out more. A few hours into the workday, some team members met in the war room as normal. But this time, it was to have a meeting with someone from Ideon Technologies. The purpose of the meeting was to go over the scientific reports of the money pit. A lot of the Oak Island team seems worried about what the reports might say. The study was mostly useful, and the Ideon Technology team worked hard to make sure it was correct. In the money pit area, the tech team put about 14 monitors into 5 boreholes. It's very, very deep, but most of the sensors were only 80 to 250 feet below the ground. This is very, very close to the tube. It wasn't just recently that the investigation was done. It happened as early as 2021, and it took almost 2 years to do all the necessary studies. This means that the report's conclusions are not based on quick observations, but on thorough study and testing. Based on the story, it looks like the sensors could pick up muons even when they were buried several feet deep. The representative said there were specific things to look for, like suits, voids, tubes that cross at the money pit, and strange things happening underground. The reports were shown clearly, showing how full the money pit was. The 3D picture shows that the areas with moderate density are yellow, the areas with low density are blue dots, and the areas with high density are orange and red. Based on how you look at it, places with a high density are more likely to have treasures, while areas with a low density are more likely to have tunnels, voids, or vaults. Based on the picture, the result is good overall. What should be the baby blob was found about 65 feet below the money pit, west of the garden shaft. There was a lot of stuff there. More than 112 feet below the surface, however, there is a low-density area. The team has a conflict of interest because the results mean they might not be able to get to the high-density area because Dumas Limited is still running. Luckily, this isn't the only place where there are a lot of people. An oddity was found about 85 feet southwest of the garden shaft and 230 feet below the money pit. It had a much higher density than other places. This information makes everyone think of their potential. It looks like Oak Island might have more than one prize. This fact has never occurred to searchers in the past or present until now. The team is willing to learn more about what has been found, and agrees to use careful digging to try to find out more about the island. As the minute went on, another report was made about an odd, low-density area that Oak Island's team seemed to have looked into. It's different from other low-density, concentrated areas because it seems to cover a mythical, important spot. There have been many attempts to find Aladdin's cave, but it has been hidden by the void for a long time. The L15 hole was drilled, and a big hole was cut at the SDW of the garden shaft just a year ago. The cave was about 40 feet long and 12 feet wide, and there were drawings and other signs of human activity inside. When people were asked about the water in Aladdin's cave, they said it was heavily contaminated with heavy metals, and it looks like the water has some gold in it. It's possible that the cave has been found before, but if not, it has now because all the signs point to it being the right place for the mythological place to be. The report from Ideon Technologies has changed the game and taken a big step forward in finding the prize. Right now, they have exact places, clear goals, and a plan for how to drill. This is a great result that shows that the years of study were very useful. Luckily, L15 can be drilled right away because it is not near the garden shaft. Drilling can start as soon as it is planned to. The meeting went very well because it proved what most of the team already knew. There was more than one treasure at and near the money pit. I think we can all agree that technological progress was a big part of solving many of Oak Island's secrets. The Duma contracting company keeps drilling deep in the garden shaft in the morning of a new day. This time, they are going to dig up L14, Aladdin's cave. On the other hand, archaeologists at Lot 5 keep digging deeper into the stone wall of the rectangle depression that was built to hide the treasures. Some finds have been made, as expected. Some of them go back to before Oak Island, and its treasures were found. The crew found a new object early on, a piece of metal that they thought might be a bolt or a chain link. There could be a few clues as to why the claimed chain link's pieces were found. Some people think that the object broke while being moved or bonded with other items, possibly treasure, and was then buried before the stone wall was built. There's also a chance that something strange and possibly more complicated happened in the area. Where did the idea come from? What was the point of it? Who were the makers anyway? It is likely that the proposed CT scan of the artifact would solve these questions. But one thing is for sure, Lot 5 wasn't just a neighborhood. There is proof that it was also used for military purposes, either because of a conflict or as a training ground. The archaeologists keep carefully digging and sorting to find more unique artifacts that might finally give them information about what people did in the area. Back in the money pit area, another member of the team starts to work on the trash that was taken away. The expert with the metal detector and the historian on the team worked together to dig through the trash and find metal objects. Gary found several strong metal signs in the thick, murky water more than a year ago, but he wasn't able to get as much information because the search had been stopped. There was, however, a lot of proof that the place had a lot of precious metals. There are fewer limits on the operation this time, which means it will have more effects. Not long after the scanning, the detector made a number of beeps which, as expected, meant that valuable metals were present. In no time, a big metal piece thought to be a wedge was found in the mud and other junk. The metal spike is likely part of an axe, as this is what most people think it is. But why would a piece of metal from an axe be more than 80 feet below the ground? Was it used to build tunnels, or did it break while the valuable metals were being buried? If this theory is even slightly true, it looks like the metal wedge dates back to at least 1735. It may contain information about the people who lived in that area and their way of life, society, and technology. The item was sealed and kept until it could be scanned and studied in the lab. The search was put on hold until the debris was dry enough to dig through properly. Drilling for shaft L14 is still going on late into the night, and the team is getting closer and closer to Aladdin's cave all the time. Finally, at 142.5 feet, the void is reached. The team decides to keep drilling until they find something that points to the high-density area, which is not common in this area. During the first dig, the metal proof was found more than 160 feet below. However, the hole seems to be much closer and higher than expected now. Could there be a reason for this new growth? Or is the empty space just where it should be? The good news is that the answers to the questions could be found in the 3D that Ideon Technology showed. From the picture, it looks like the cave's carven has an odd shape, and it looks like some parts of the roof are much higher than expected. If you believe Marty Laguna's idea, there is a chance that Aladdin's cage was the first storage vault, or that it is an extension of the area where the money pit collapsed. How it happened could have been so many different things. Nevertheless, it is likely that there are some in the area. As the digging went on, it was said that there was nothing but empty space about 148 feet below. This suggests that the void may have been found. In general, the L-14 digging was good enough to make the search go on. The team's next job is to put cameras, scanners, and sonar devices several feet into the hole to watch and record what's going on inside the soon-to-be-found cave and how it's built. To begin with, the hole will be left empty so that it can dry out and become clean enough for the devices to be put in. As soon as the new day starts, people from Dumas start drilling again in the hopes of getting past the empty space, while the rest of Oak Island's team goes to see how things are going at Lot 5. As usual, areas that might have artifacts have been marked with flags. The goal is to dig through these areas in the hopes of finding any artifacts. Things went well at the start of the search because the first flag spot found had a lot of metal materials in it. To get to the goal, a big chunk of dirt and rock had to be pulled out first. An old coin was found after a lot of cleaning and digging. It is thought to be much older than the coins that have already been found. The coin looks and feels heavy enough to be the real thing. Like the other artifacts, this one has been sealed so that it can be tried and studied in the lab. We hope that the results show that the beginning is correct. Find after find seems to support the idea that Lot 5 is located more than an acre farther west on the island, and may have something to do with the money out area. It might be an extension of it. Each team works hard to finish their jobs at the garden shaft and, of course, the Aladdin cave as the new day begins. Other people on the team were given different jobs. Some went to the interpretive center to get reports on the artifacts that had been found the day before. Archaeologist Laird Naveen confirmed that the object was, in fact, a piece of LED, and most likely a bag seal from a long time ago, when they were used to seal industry and military packages. This would have been around the 13th century. Not long ago, on Lot 32, an LED bag seal was found to match the LED trade token from the 1400s and the LED cross from the same year that was found at Smith's Cove. To back up his claim, Laird said that the seals were made from 2 LED circle pieces and pressed on in the 1300s, as shown by the cut section on the metal. Emma also did machine research using an X-ray fluorescence spectrometer, which is a type of radiation used to find out where things come from and what elements they are made of. The test results show that the LED seal is not completely pure. It has some iron elements and not much copper. Another report was made about the bag seals, but the results do not match up. There was one special find, though, that gave people some hope. Strange letters and marks were written on the top of the object that has not yet been recognized. Among the letters, KR was the easiest to see. The other letters were less clear. It looks like each member of the interpretive team found a match for the letters in their own way. The sample had the writing, "I lovely Parkers in London." The seal belonged to a cloth parker from the 1700s who packed clothes into bales that weighed about half a ton before sealing and sending them. The seal found in Lot 5 could belong to the same person.
The cross may be the emblem of the Knights Templar, who established one of the earliest global financial systems in the 13th century. Could this coin have been used for finance by the Knights Templar? Who can say? What initially appeared to be the discovery of a small Spanish Meravedi coin may in fact be a crucial clue leading to a large amount of Knights Templar treasure concealed on Oak Island. In Circles in Wood, the 6th episode of the 4th season, Gary Drayton, along with associate producers and fellow treasure hunters Jack Begley and Alex Lagina, conduct metal detecting on land formerly owned by former slave-turned-caduceus farmer Samuel Ball. Drayton and his companions initially uncovered a piece of chain buried in the ground, but as they continued their investigation, they eventually uncovered a small copper and bronze ring. They persevered, confident that they were on the correct track, and uncovered a coin that could be hundreds of years old. Samuel Ball, one of the wealthiest residents of Oak Island, owned 36 acres of the island. Did cabbage cultivation contribute to this wealth? Or maybe Ball discovered a treasure? These discoveries could represent a minor portion of the Oak Island treasure ball. Gary Drayton, a metal detecting specialist, and Charles Burkhouse, an Oak Island historian, continue their investigation of Samuel Ball's property in Season 4, Episode 8, The Mystery of Samuel Ball, where they make a number of intriguing discoveries. The first item that Drayton and Burkhouse discover is a gentleman button, which is commonly found on 1700s clothing. They soon unearth numerous King George II coins from the 18th century, as well as a lead ingot used to create musket balls. Drayton hypothesizes that these artifacts are the remnants of a military camp, after uncovering what appears to be an engraved metal tag from the bottom of a handgun. Were these campers from the 18th century searching for forgotten wealth or abandoning it? In the 1700s, the only thing that can be said with absolute certainty is that Oak Island was extremely active. In Blood is Thicker, episode 15 of season 4 of The Curse of Oak Island, Gary employs a metal detector to examine the objects Rick and Marty Lagina had unearthed at the Gal 1 excavation site. They initially assume it to be a coin, but quickly realize that the word plated is engraved on it. Dr. Laurie Vanderlande, an expert in antique valuation, examined this spherical object and concluded that it was most likely a gold-plated button from a 17th or 18th century British military uniform. When the Lagina brothers discover a large metal hinge with drill marks in the same location, this becomes considerably more plausible. Dr. Vanderlande examined it and concluded that it was from the same time period. Even more intriguing is the fact that it was frequently used as a hinge on treasure chests. Even if it originated from a ship that used the hinge for a different purpose, it is still a very intriguing discovery because it raises the question of what lies beneath Oak Island. In Dead Man's Chest, the second episode of the 5th season, Gary Drayton and his metal detecting team once again discover evidence of 17th century participation on the island, which may have been caused by the military, pirates, or both. Soon after discovering a 17th century musket projectile which was used in cannons, they find what appears to be a Maravedi, which is identical to the one found in the season 1 finale, The Find. This coin is unique because it has been cut into tiny pieces. Oak Island entered a new era when the dust subsided and the significance of the discovery became apparent. The long-held legend had finally come true, permanently altering the fate of the island. Oak Island. Specific museums, exhibits, and research facilities have emerged, revealing the island's enthralling history and incredible discovery story. The Oak Island treasure symbolized human perseverance and the ceaseless pursuit of the unknown. It served as a monument to the ability of the human spirit to solve even the most difficult challenges. The island's name would endure in the annals of exploration and treasure hunting, inspiring future generations to investigate unresolved mysteries. Remember to subscribe to the channel for additional blues from the mysterious universe. Today, Oak Island is still a fascinating destination where tourists can follow in the footsteps of the early explorers by exploring the Money Pit's depths and witnessing the astounding discovery that forever altered the course of human history. The island serves as a reminder that there are still mysteries to be solved, secrets to be uncovered, and hidden treasures in the most unlikely places. The island serves as a reminder that there are still mysteries to be solved, secrets to be uncovered, and hidden treasures in the most unlikely places. Tap the video links that appear as there is much to learn about Oak Island. Click now and we'll meet you there in a moment.